Hello and welcome. This is Alchemistexe, and this is the weekly update for July 29th, 2021. Not a whole lot this week. Kagura Job Plus, Kagura Memento, and that's pretty much it for the new stuff. So not a whole lot going on. It's the last week of the month, so last chance to use discount tickets. I'll talk more about how those might be used in the banner section, which if you need timestamps, as always, they will be in the description. Before we jump into the content, though, I wanted to say a little bit about Morrigan, because since Kagura is also a fire magic unit, and we just had a fire magic unit upgrade, I just wanted to give some of my thoughts. I think she, as a support unit, is pretty nice. She's got a good move. She can do the all damage up and strong versus wind up in a mono fire party. Pretty solid support unit. Overall, though, I do think her kit is still clunky, and her Job Plus didn't really fix that. Just that combination of wanting to be at low health, becoming really squishy, the problem of her overtaking her turns when she's casting can be a big problem when you're on a transform state, and each turn counts when you only have 5 of them. So you can mitigate that by not using that passive. But then there's the matter of the move that they added with the raising her max HP and agility in exchange for having jewel cost and all damage resistance down. I think that move sucks. I think there's no reason to use that. The trade-off's just not worth it. The jewel cost is negligible, but her being squishy is just kind of a problem already. And then to top it all off, you get her at 1 health, and the move that scales off of her remaining HP doesn't even do that much damage. So the move that you want to do the most that has the 2 casts on it costs HP anyway. So it seems like her kit feels very confused. Like they pull her in one direction only to pull her in another direction that's counterproductive in the direction you were just going. It doesn't mean she's a bad unit. She's still got 2k plus M attack. She can still do a ton of damage with that nuke, as long as you're wary of the cast speed and how that works. And then, of course, she can support teams of other damage dealers, especially people on the physical end of things who don't have as much support, like they won't benefit from Pamela. People like Vettel and Lisa not. So in that regard, I think if you happen to have her, she could definitely be helpful. She's just not a unit I would recommend chasing really hard or going after her memento really hard, that kind of thing. It's more or less like that. If you got him, great. If you don't, maybe worry more about fire units down the line like Kaya or Nimble, that kind of thing. So, okay, now that I've said my piece about Morrigan, I would like to move on to the content. So, as I said, it is a slow week, so the main focal point of this week is going to be the Holy Guard job change quest for Kagura. And strangely, it's the only one that's available. This is unusual, at least thus far, for global. Normally they would all rerun, and I think that's a bit of a problem because you need to use cannon in this level, and if you don't have her raised, you don't have a chance to do the quest to get her job change, and that could be a pain. So I hope that this is a mistake, because otherwise that's unpleasant. So about Kagura, if you don't have her, the place you're going to get her is going to be in Sacred Stone Memories. I believe it's chapter 2 to unlock her, and then as you progress, you'll get different quests will have drops for her unique jobs, because she's all unique jobs. They just get progressively better and better. And then chapter 6 is the one where you can farm her shards indefinitely. So if you're looking to get her raised up, this is the place to do it, and this is a good time to do it because the drops are doubled, and there's a lot of RNG involved in her evolution materials and her unique job equipment. So definitely reducing that is always nice. Otherwise, there is one significant rerun if you're a fan of Setsuna. Now, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe that new players just get a free Setsuna. So if you're one of those people that has her, then making sure that you do her Job Plus quest is highly recommended. She might not be at the very top of wind physical, but nonetheless, she's a very, very solid unit. So anyone who has not done this quest yet, I recommend it. And yeah, that is it for the content. Let's go ahead and move on to the banners. So first, there are a couple of free banners, so definitely do those. Most of you have probably done them already. I'll do them when I do the summoning part. There is a unit reroll I like these. They're pretty decent. The only thing I would say is that it's not the weekend yet, so something better might come along. And that wherever there is a unit reroll, 100 shard reroll usually is not far away. So depending on what your needs are as far as getting new units versus being able to raise other limited units, you might want to wait and see what happens there. There is a Holy Guard Memento one that could have been awesome if it wasn't for that New Year's Zion memento, which as much as I love that skin and use that skin, I don't think it's that great of a memento, especially given that Zion already has 2 of them now, so you don't even need or really want that one. If that had been his newer one from his class change, then I would have said that this was an awesome banner for those willing to spend on, getting mementos. But instead it's just like, okay, it's just a more significant risk that way. So next up is a Elemental Soul Shard banner. I'm generally not a big fan of these because you can get so many of them for free. So just the idea of trading gems for something you get for free doesn't make a lot of sense unless you have tons of limited units that you want to raise and just no shards at all, and you're fairly comfortable with gems and you're not worried about any upcoming units. If you're in that, like, what is probably a very, very small Venn diagram section, then I could see this being a good banner for you. But otherwise, I think most people would probably want to focus on acquiring more limited either units or mementos. This one is a skip just because Louise shop. The recommended Limit Break Festival I think is pretty good, even though I wouldn't recommend going all the way to the end because you could get a normal farmable unit for the 375, but somewhere between like 2 and 4 steps could be pretty good, especially if you're free to play. You might not get anything good, but it's not going to cost you much. Two discount tickets would get you a long way. The Holy Guard one, while not like objectively terrible, it's just all of these units can be acquired via hard quest. You could transmute them if you have to. Like, the only people I'd see really benefiting from this are like relatively newer players that are in just a massive, massive hurry. So, like, if you can afford to go to step 9 of this banner, it seems like your resources are better spent elsewhere. But, that's just my opinion. Doesn't mean that I think any of those units are bad. It's just I think that getting them other ways makes more sense. A lot of them have been available for free on challenge boards with like 150 free shards. So, yeah. Enough about that. For getting Kagura's memento, this is going to be the place where you're going to want to guarantee it. And all of the mementos here are Holy Guard. So, I forgot to mention, or just didn't notice rather, at the time, this other banner last week with the 9-step for the Scorching by the Shore memento. This was a similar boat where all of the mementos that appear are global versus all of them that appear here are Holy Guard. The global one I think is a little better because those are all limited, whereas there's normal pool and limited Holy Guard mementos. But if you're really into getting Holy Guard stuff, then that's an added bonus of this banner. Next is one for Setsuna, Berta, and Mashiri. If you really want these and miss them, then I guess I'm not going to particularly recommend them at this point, but it depends on what units you have and what mementos you have and don't have and want and need. If you're in that camp, then it could be good. Next up was one I think is a little bit more appealing than the above, just because all of the mementos that appear are going to be limited. So if there's certain ones that you want, like say maybe Ravina's Christmas memento, Eliza's Christmas memento, they're not all equally great, but they are all equally limited, so it can be a good opportunity. It's a wider pool than the other one for global units, so I would bear that in mind. But yeah, that is it for the banners. So if you're looking to get rid of some discount tickets, there's definitely some good options. So we're not in that boat where like you're at the end of the month and there's nothing good on it. So if you want global mementos, say you're like me and you have at least 2, and I've got 3, but going 2 here, you can get yourself at least 1 global memento, and that's kind of nice. There's a couple I don't have yet, namely Shion's. So I think I'm going to try my luck with 2 discount tickets on that. And then I'll have 1 more, and I'm just going to pop it into this recommended Limit Break Festival because I can do it once and then step number 2 is already going to be 500. So that's a, easy way to get rid of 3 discount tickets. If you've got another one, you could go even further. If you don't care about mementos at all, or at least the mementos that are currently available, you could go farther into this. So there's definitely a lot of options between units and mementos. It just depends on what your needs are. So yeah, with that, let's go ahead and move on to the summoning portion. Okay, so we'll start with the free ones. Just the item one, then the unit one. I'm just curious to see if I'm going to get any Greed Dyke reliefs this week. Because it seems like it's happened at least almost every single time, at least one point in the week. There's one of these where it's like a Greed Dyke relief. I've gotten so many of them that I ended up maxing out mementos I wasn't even expecting to. Like, I didn't originally plan to max Inaku's because these were the days before his buff. Luckily, that ended up being an accidentally really good decision. So that time is just retributions, but that's okay. I can always use more of those, even if I've got like 150. So next up is this. Not a great track record for these, but I'm not going to complain about free banners. I think thus far, Asuka and Rochelle are the only 2 that I've gotten. Otherwise, it's all been farmable. Kind of weird that they're both fire units. And then I got Rochelle's memento too from the free tickets, just because I had almost every free normal pool memento at that point from where the free ticket cut off. I was only missing Glanz's, Rochelle's, and Evelika's, so I chose Glanz and the Rochelle one just because I have Evelika, but I don't plan on raising her. So yeah, nothing too great there. So I'm going to start with the unit one first because nothing good is guaranteed there. So if these are both duds, we'll move on to the memento. So bare minimum, we'll end with 1 5-star memento. I'm hoping to get a little bit more than that, but knowing my luck, we'll see what happens. The important part is that it's not too many gems spent, so even if my luck is really bad, it's such low stakes. There's not really anything particular that I want to get in terms of units. I guess if I got Quinn's at any point, I'd be kind of down for that. I think I've got the dark shards, I could raise him. But otherwise, I'm pretty okay with the state of my units. And mostly okay with the state of their mementos. So yeah, go ahead and skip that. There was one hidden 5-star, but it was Ankh. Because that'll change a little bit going forward. Once some of the stuff that I'm looking forward to is, of course, the Templar unit Zechs. That's the reason I haven't raised Milim yet. I did transmute her. I just haven't raised her or anything because I'm waiting to see what the August announcement is. Looks like it's just 1 red. Because if they do announce it for August, then I'm going to wait to raise Milim. Elizabeth. Blah. Until after I've raised Zechs. And then once that's taken care of, then I can focus on her. And I've got a decent chunk of otherworldly shards. So even though the collab is over, I could add her to my team. It's funny because I could use Strike more than I could use Slash, but I got to raise Templars. It's what I do. And then I got to save Rainbows for Nimble because I'm not sure if I'll have enough to fully raise on fire alone by the time that drops. I might. Depends on how many they give us. Alright, so let's go ahead and do the memento one next. See if we can get any reds on pull number 1. Not that I have a very good track record with step 1 of memento banners. It is pretty, it's like this. Almost exactly like that. Well, I guess at least it wasn't blue, but nonetheless, that's pretty typical. What was I hoping to get from this? I was mostly Xion. Otherwise, maybe Lilith's as well. Either Lilith one, because I do have her. I just don't have her memento. Actually, speaking of, I am trying to decide whether or not to raise her. It's kind of caught between her and Terre. Because I have like over 500 Thunder Shards and I just don't know how to use them on. Because my Thunder game is pretty solid. Alright, what's the guarantee going to be? Morrigan. That's not amazing. I guess that could have been worse. I have been using her more since her job plus. And I guess if I max limit broke it, that would reduce the HP cost of some of her moves, which is alright. I still wish if she'd gotten skill use +1 on her memento, I would have much better things to say about her job plus. But she doesn't, so I don't. Okay, that is about it for that. So yeah, that was literally the bare minimum in terms of luck, but oh, that's okay. Hopefully, for those of you that are summoning, you have better luck than I did, and I will see you all next time.